Hey all, this is Rahul. Um, when you want to pursue for DevOps engineer role in IT, a very common question will come to your mind that, okay, which skill set I should select for, like which cloud I should select. I should select Azure or I should select AWS, right? So this is a very common question being asked to me. Let me just explain very quickly what you should select and how you should proceed. Okay, and what exactly we are offering for you as from LWP Labs. So we do offer both the courses like Azure and AWS. Both are project-based training, but then the very uh, the difference between Azure and AWS is here in our course is that uh, Azure is mainly focusing on platform as a service. Okay, so when you say Azure services here, what exactly we teach? We teach how to deploy an e-commerce web application on Azure App Services, which is nothing but a platform as a service. So there are three different kind of service which cloud provides. One is infrastructure as a service, one is platform as a service, and the other one is software as a service. So what do you mean by infrastructure? Let us, before we go and answer that, you need to understand what is infrastructure as a service. So when you build something from scratch means, when I say scratch means there will be nothing, no virtual machine, nothing will be there. You will build everything from scratch. Like, okay, so think that you will have a you will move from on-premise to cloud, and in cloud you there are various kind of services, as I told: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So if your customer, suppose, wants a website, lwplabs.com. He as a customer, he just want to see the website, right? The content of the website. He doesn't care, like, okay, if it is coming from infra as a service, platform as a service, or a software as a service. So now, infra as a service example is where you will not have anything inbuilt. You will create servers from scratch, okay? And then you will integrate all those things along with the database. Okay, think like this is a database, and then you will have your tech stack installed here, means Apache, or the tech stack, like suppose if it's a Java application, you need to install Tomcat, Java, or you need to install JBoss. If it's a PHP application, you need to install PHP in the server. So this is like tech stack installation. And then you need to maintain that tech stack, means suppose every 3 months or every 6 months, a new version of tech stack is coming. You need to upgrade that to new version so that software vulnerabilities are not there, right? The vulnerabilities are maintained. This is like one of the headache to a company, correct? That vulnerabilities will be there. Patching you should be applying. So all these things you need to do manually, or you will use some tools, okay, to do those things like Ansible or some other tools you will use. But then this management, right, of the tech stack, of the Linux servers, you need to apply patches on the servers also, okay, will be done by you in the case of infrastructure as a service. And then this particular thing, okay, here then you will deploy your application. The developers who will write the application, the code, they you will deploy it. And then this website will be opening. You need to connect through the DNS to this particular IP, and then through which it will connect. This is one way to have your services running in cloud. What is the other way to run the services? The other way is platform as a service. Okay. What do you mean by platform as a service? Like in Azure, you see here, we have Azure app services. So rather than going and having a server built by yourself here from the starting from the virtual machine, You don't want to take that headache of applying patches every month to the Linux servers, every quarter through to the tech stacks, and you don't have to maintain those vulnerabilities, because you want just that, okay, your developer will write the code and you will deploy the code. In that case, you will use something called app services, where the backend things are already maintained, right? Like in AWS, we have Elastic Beanstalk. Similarly, suppose in platforms, in Azure, we have app services. So now in this case, you will have your services, the background tech stacks ready, where you will be the virtual machines. You don't have to maintain those virtual machines. You don't have to apply the patches to the Linux service, right? Those headache is gone now. Now your domain will point to this platform as a service, similarly like to the endpoint, whatever you will expose to the customer. But here the benefit is the platform, the operating system, the which you don't have to maintain those things. That will be handled by the cloud provider, correct? So this platform is managed by them. Now there is something called software as a service, like Gmail is a software as a service. So they are providing you the software. Now you just go and create the website. Like there is something called Wix. Okay, you can go and create your website there. The website is already there. You just need to drag and drop, and things are already created. Just use that. That's a cloud service. Similarly, if Amazon and Azure is providing you, you can use that software as a service. Correct? So Azure here in our course is mainly focusing on platform as a service. Here you see we are using Azure App Services. Okay, we are using for deployment, we are using Azure DevOps pipeline, right? We are using Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps is the whole pipeline thing. How will you deploy things to the server, okay, or to the Azure App Services, okay, to the final place, right? Which will be done by the Azure DevOps pipeline. So it's kind of a platform as a service. Now you just need to create your pipeline in using that Azure DevOps pipeline. Similarly, in AWS also we do have AWS pipeline, okay, which will be internally using code build and things. But then in AWS we are mainly focusing on infrastructure as a service in our course. But in Azure we are mainly focusing on platform as a service, right? Here you see we are deploying apps. We are deploying. We are creating a .NET, Java, PHP web apps, and then we are deploying it. Similarly, if you go here, we are using an Azure SQL database also, which is again we don't have to install it. We just have to use that service. It's again a platform as a service, right? Now we are concentrating here in Azure mainly on the Windows service, whereas in AWS course, okay, which we focus mainly on Linux, right? And then we do have here you see we do have we do have monitoring enabled with the help of Azure services. We use generally cloud native things in Azure to monitor things, okay? And then we use Azure Active Directory, okay? We do also have we have also shown you implementing a SonarQube, okay? We also used AKS, okay, Azure Kubernetes service, where we don't have to install the Kubernetes service, correct? Similarly, it's again an example, a proper example of a platform as a service, right? Where we are installing our Kubernetes, where we are configuring our just Kubernetes. We are not installing our Kubernetes in Azure, right? We use AKS. It's an Azure Kubernetes service which is already installed. We'll just the control plane is already there. Okay, we just need to configure it and use it. Okay, and create the node pools. So these are some examples. We again focus here PowerShell, whereas in AWS we focus mainly on shell scripting. Here we have ARM templates. Okay, but in Azure AWS we use Terraform, right? So this is like a proper example where you can actually segregate like, okay, which course you should select for AWS or Azure. Mainly nowadays, companies demand both the cloud services, right? They want to see someone who should have knowledge to both AWS and Azure, because either company will be migrating from Azure to AWS or AWS to Azure, or they will be running the workloads on both the services, both the cloud, like AWS and Azure. So now if you have both the knowledge, it will be like beneficial for you. You can crack job faster than someone who just know one cloud. So you can become a multi-cloud engineer. So better to start with Azure, and then you can go for AWS, or you can better to start with AWS and then you can go for Azure. Anything you can select, but then I would recommend you to select both the courses. Okay, maybe not parallelly, but take it sequentially in our from our institute, so that um you can you can learn things on the multi-cloud environment, and then you can learn things that if something which is infrastructure as a service, something which is platform as a service. I hope I have made my point and it will be clear for all of you. Thank you all for watching this particular video, and hope to see you in the class soon. Thank you.